Welcome to Plant the Love. We are going to talk about fostering wellness through the power of natural plants and positive mental health practices. I am your host, Ashleigh Rawson. On our show, you're going to hear from folks who have a lot of knowledge and expertise about this sneaky little subject. If you're curious if this path is right for you, you have come to the right place. We will empower you with information to make healthy, life-changing choices. We're so glad you're here. Now on to the episode. Disclaimer. The content in this show is for informational purposes only. It is not intended for medical advice. It does not take the place of treatment by a medical health professional. Listeners and viewers should consult with their doctor or medical health professional with any medical concerns. I am not a doctor. However, we do work closely with doctors when we review medications. I do not have a medical degree of any kind. What we are discussing has been in no way approved by the FDA. What I am sharing with you has been from my own experience and research. If you are taking any medication, do not make any changes until you consult your doctor. And now, let's start the Plant the Love show. Hello and welcome, beautiful big world. I am Ashleigh and I'm coming to you from St. Lucia, West Indies. And I have a part 2 episode for everybody tonight. My guest about 2 weeks ago was Amy Thurman, and we had such a wonderful conversation. We ran out of time, and I have welcomed her back as a guest for part 2. Her name is Amy Thurman, and she has written the book, Finding My Hero Within, which I've not only read, but reread and go through and look at various parts of it, because I think that it is incredibly useful in terms of tools in day-to-day life and how to get through day-to-day life with positivity and mindfulness. And with that being said, welcome back to the show, Miss Amy Thurman.
Lynn, I'm so glad to be here. Thanks for having me back. I'm excited to chat some more.
I'm glad you're here. Welcome. So we discussed last time, I know for me, the power of your book, and I see your website and it's definitely changing lives. People who are ready to change, ready to do the work. And there are so many other things that you offer besides just this book. And so last time we talked a little bit about your journey and what got you here. And now let's talk a little bit maybe about what you're doing with it.
Of course, I would have loved to do that. Thank you so much. I spent 10 years fighting my way through the medical and the disability systems. That's pretty much what the book is about. And it centers around resiliency. I have a message of hope and resilience and helping people overcome adversity. One of my readers even told me that my book saved their life. They were contemplating ending their life. And because of my story and my book, they chose to live, because through my book, they realized that they had a choice, that they didn't have to make that decision. And so it's taken on a life of its own, and it's just out there helping people, saving lives. And it's so humbling to know that just my story is doing that. And so I have just carried that on and helped people learn more about resilience and hope and overcoming adversity. I have a 12-week program that dives deep into emotions and how to help to use your emotions to regulate and see them as not the enemy, but a communication source, that they are there to help us. And then I have also taken what I've learned about resilience over the past 10 years and then my education experience over the past 25 years and created an initiative called Resilient Futures. It is an initiative to help schools and communities learn to work together to better prepare students for a resilient life beyond the classroom, which is so needed
now,
right now.
When you say resilient life, let's talk about what that looks like. We're not talking about material things at all. What is that self-resilience all about? And why is it, okay, we know why it's not taught. And I do want to back up for just a minute and point out the fact that we discussed before the show, Amy was in education for how many years?
I have 25 years in education.
I had 5. I taught 3 years, 7th grade, 2 years overseas. My first guest also was in education, and we've left that. There's a reason. And I love that even though you're not in the public school classroom, you're still taking that gift of an educator, because it is a gift to be able to give of yourself and educate, and using that tool, your skills, your knowledge, your expertise applying your pain with it, what you've learned from getting through that. And then now you're using that as a tool to educate other people and help heal them. Amy, why are so many of us feeling so lost and broken?
Oh my goodness, because we're not taught how to deal with that. We are taught to push things down and cram them in there and not accept what we're
Why?
feeling. And
Why were
that's
we
another
taught
reason I
that?
have
Why?
the program, because it makes us look like we're weak. If we admit that we are feeling a certain way or that we're having thoughts that maybe are kind of scary, then it makes us look weak. Society teaches us that that's not strong, that that's not what a strong person looks like. When to me, it's just the opposite. When you can admit the way you're feeling, when you can admit what's going on inside, that means that you're connected, that you can sense that those emotions are happening, that they're communicating to you. And when you feel free to share those with others, that takes a strong, strong person. Vulnerability is very, very much needed now. And we're taught not to do that, like I said, because it makes us look not strong when the opposite is the
How do we
case.
determine what environment to be vulnerable in? Because sometimes you can be vulnerable, not pleasant. Sometimes you can. I mean, how do we know?
It's in my case, what I have learned is, 10 years, I spent a whole year flat in bed, 23 hours a day. I couldn't lift my head off the pillow because nobody could figure out what was wrong with me. And so I did a lot of introspection and I came to learn the difference in self love and soul love. And I think we talked a
We
little bit
did.
about it last time, but the self love is who you are. Soul love is who you are intended to be or who you can become. And knowing the difference and being able to tap into what your soul truly is, like who you really are and who you're intended to be, allows you to recognize that voice much, much easier. You come to know and acknowledge and understand what that sounds like, what that feels like when that soul is speaking to you or when it's urging you. And so in my case, of course, I've spent 10 years kind of honing this. I instantly know when I talk to someone, I can get, people call it a vibe. I can get a vibe. I just can read people and understand that this is a person that I can trust or this is a person that I can't. But it takes some practice. It takes being willing. You got to start with understanding that your emotions are not the
Right.
enemy, that they're there to help you and being willing to feel them and allow them to be
And
what
our
they
culture
are.
has
That's the
taught
starting
that.
point.
Be strong. Don't be weak. Sensitive is weak. And I'm learning actually sensitive is a beautiful thing if it is tended with
Yes,
care, not taken advantage of. And so on that
absolutely. And men,
resilience,
it's harder for men.
yes. How do we learn resilience?
Resilience is, my friend Blair Kaplan Venables says, it is like a muscle that can be built. Oh my goodness, we want to, and our children, this is one of the reasons that I created this initiative, because as parents, we want to protect our children. We want to put them in a bubble. We don't want them to have to experience any hardship or have to go through anything, but we're doing them a disservice when that happens, because it takes hardship, it takes trials to build that resilience muscle. And when we're not allowing ourselves or our children to go through those things, they don't know how to build that resilience muscle. They have no concept of it. They have no practical knowledge of it. And so they don't know how to do that when they graduate from high school. We're expecting them to be an upstanding citizen of the community when we haven't taught them how to do that at all. We haven't taught them anything about what it means to be a good
That's very
upstanding
true.
citizen, and resilience is a huge
It's
part of
very
that.
true.
And so it's something that has to be built, but we're not allowing ourselves or our children to build it. And so it's really a problem. It really
That's true
is.
because if you look at our dads, they'd help neighbors go across the street, they'd mow, they do this, that, and the other. Right now, we are so busy in our own lives, we just don't even notice. We don't notice are the things that my dad used to do that I would see him do. I see now, as far as really neighborly, it's just not, it's non-existent because the community, and I've had an opportunity to live all over the world and experience different community. And I can most definitely tell you resilient community members are those whose community is raising those children in a village. They know what they're doing. They know who they're with. They know. And it's not micromanaging helicopter. No, it is allowing them room
Right.
to fail, but they have protection. It's hard to come by. I mean,
Absolutely.
but community, it's so
Yes.
important.
And part of it is, and part of being human is the ups and downs, the peaks and valleys. Like that's just part of being
Right.
human. Someone somewhere convinced us that it's not supposed to be
That's
that
right.
way, that we're supposed to feel good, that we're supposed to be flying high all the time. That's not reality. That's not how it is. Part of being human is up and down. We feel the things, we go down, we go up, but that helps us build that resilience muscle. And we're not being able to do that, or we're being told that it's wrong. And so we have this misconception of what it's like to be a human. And that needs to
So does it
change.
mean we have to suffer and go through pain in order to build that resilience muscle? What does that mean?
It To me, it means, and you and I have talked about
Mm-hmm.
this before, boundaries are so important. And right now, I see a lot of people not setting boundaries. Of course, I have worked a lot with students. And so I am a parent. I have a teenage son living with me, and I have two older children. And so I know how difficult it is to set boundaries for children, to set boundaries for ourselves. And a lot of times we don't set boundaries for our children, or this is what happens. We say we're setting boundaries for our children, but we don't uphold them. That happens a lot in our lives as adults too. But we're not taught as children how to maintain boundaries, how to set boundaries, how to maintain them. So we grow up to be adults who say we know
Never
what
stick
boundaries
to it.
are, but we don't really know,
Mm-hmm.
because
They
no,
roll over us,
no,
or we're just,
absolutely not.
rolled over, or we're too tired to fight it, or follow through. I mean, I know I had good classroom management in the classroom. I was a lot of fun and I was crazy, but I was, there were certain rules and expectations that they knew. Here's our realm. You get outside of that, we're going to have a problem. And so I never could really carry that over in all aspects of my life with my own things and my own boundaries, and things. And so it's not taught. We don't learn it. Trial and error. Or do you have to suffer through pain in order to wake up and say, wait a minute, I think I need boundaries in my life?
And it is one thing to set boundaries with someone else and to set boundaries with yourself. Like when you set boundaries with someone else, you have accountability. There's someone else involved. When you're setting boundaries with yourself, it's just you. Like you, nobody
Nobody to
knows if
blame.
you're upholding those
That's right.
boundaries or
That's
not,
right.
right?
That's right.
There's nobody to tell on you or to call you out. And so it requires much self discipline, which again is not something
Nobody wants.
that we are taught to
No.
do in life.
Well, we're going to take one quick break so we can have some a little time out. But my gracious sponsors, Osity Labs, we're going to take a moment to hear from them. If you are wanting to do any type of plant-based medicine regimen, CBD, hemp CBD, is one part that is absolutely crucial to what you should have in your vitamin supply. And I consider it a vitamin. Osity Labs, if you put Plant the Love, you get 25% off in their coupon code. It's one of the best products I think that money can buy in terms of hemp CBD. Let's hear from Osity Labs.
Over the last several years, the hemp industry has exploded. And Osity is a company from the South taking charge of this new frontier. We start with our own world-class plant genetics and use organic and sustainable farming practices to nurture our seedlings into top-quality flower. Our award-winning team uses a state-of-the-art extraction process to isolate not just CBD, but other complementary cannabinoids like CBG and CBC. We remove impurities and then have our own in-house analysis team check and recheck the accuracy of our extracted distillate that goes into our finished products. Our CBD distillate is over 95% pure. Its integrity is unrivaled. We are the industry standard for purity, quality, and consistency. We have a variety of skin gels, edibles, and tinctures. Try our brand out for yourself, and you'll know what quality really means.
Love S1Ep products. Okay, well, welcome back. Hello, Amy. Amy Thurman, my guest, part two, because she's intriguing. All of my guests are intriguing, of course, but we have so much to talk about in terms of what the National Grassroots Broadcasting Network represents, the show, which is on NGBN TV, which is mindfulness. And so we wanted to have you back for part two so that we could discuss more of the work that you're doing. And we were talking about resilience. And so if you were to have a student, we talked about things like resilience with boundaries. How do you do that without making people mad?
I don't know that that's possible to do it without making
Do you
people
mean I
mad.
don't have to please
In all
everybody in
honesty,
my life to
no.
stay healthy?
Yes, that's exactly right. That really the only person that you have to please is yourself. Yes, other people are involved, but you have to start with yourself, because if you don't start with the self, nothing else in your life is going to work the way it's supposed to. And I had to
Mm,
come to that realization when I was laying flat in that bed for almost a year, fighting to get back to the person I was before, when I didn't even like that version of myself. And I had to realize I have to be whoever it is I'm supposed to be, not who this person who I'm trying to be. And that was a tough thing. It's not an easy thing. It's a simple thing, but it's not easy. And so as far as if I had a student and trying not to make someone mad, I firmly believe, and I saw this in my classroom, I saw it as an administrator, I saw it at the university level, that people just want to know that you
mm.
care. Like so many, especially our school systems, gosh, I could talk about this all night long, but our school systems are set up in a way that the teachers, the administrators really aren't able to pour into and build relationships with the students. They are almost like dictators telling the students, this is what you have to do, this is what you're supposed to do. When, like I said earlier, the students graduate and get into the world, that's not how the world is. You have to build relationships in the real world. The oldest running Harvard study, 84 years old, has proved that the number one thing that is helps people live longer, healthier lives are good
You are,
relationships. That if our children don't know how to build good relationships, and so we're not preparing them for life, they're completely missing that piece. And so that's what this initiative is to help do, is to help them build better relationships.
Amy, isn't that something? The number one, the
Isn't it
community, the
wild?
village.
Yes.
Community, the village. Is it trustworthy?
Yes.
Can you make mistakes in protection? Can you, uh, are we setting firm boundaries where we are respecting each other and everyone within our community? Yes, it's not learned. It's almost these days like a trial and error type of thing. Whew. Okay, so
Yes.
if someone were
Yes.
to do this, like how do you get started doing something like this?
Did it become part of the
Mm-hmm.
initiative?
Yes, ma'am.
I Right now I'm gathering interest, names of people who are interested in being a part or just learning more. And that's on my website, getamyshelp.com. There's a Resilient Futures button there that you can tap, and it will, at the bottom, there's a form for you to fill out. And I will be in touch with you if you're interested in helping in any way.
How can
We
people help?
are looking for
What
anyone
does
who,
that help
uh,
look like?
right now, it's just gathering the names of people who are interested. At some point, it's going to become a nonprofit at
Okay.
some point. I'll just go ahead and
Mm-hmm.
say that because it's going to happen. And so it will be a way to help schools and communities work together. But it's going to take a lot of people. I am just the visionary, I'm the
Mm-hmm.
catalyst for
Mm-hmm.
this message. And so I'm gathering interest right now. And that's what I need at this point, to know who's interested, who wants to know more, who's willing to help me spread this message and get it started. And
Amy,
so if you're willing to help do
does
that.
it have to be anyone directly in your geographical community, or can it be people all over that just can communicate either? I mean, do we physically have to be around where you are?
No, this is, it's a
Ah,
movement, and
that's what I
it's
was
a
getting at.
concept that, yes, it's a movement, it's a concept schools and communities working together, and that can be anywhere. My focus is on public schools because they so desperately need a change like this. Private schools and charter schools have a version of this that they're doing, but they're not doing it to the capacity that I have laid out. Yes, I have a whole program laid out. I have a whole framework. If any of you are TEDx organizers, I'm looking for a TEDx stage to share this idea, because I do want it to spread widely and I want people to help. I want this to take on because it can change. We can reimagine education. And I have this whole framework laid out. But I'm not sharing that at this time. I'm just gathering interest.
That's what I was going to ask. Is it something as simple as an attitude adjustment, paying it forward, or is it something that is complex that requires, I mean, is it simplistic? Is it complicated? Or is it just a shift?
There is a lot to it. It starts with a shift in the mindset. Obviously, every change that happens has to start in the mind. We have to change the way we think about it and see it. That's why I say it's reimagining education. But there are many moving parts to it that I have all laid out and that I have ready to go. But I need help. Like, this is not something I could just stand out there on the corner and do myself. This has to be a movement of people, of like-minded people who want to reimagine education and bring schools and communities together. And it's, people, I have said this before, I used to be, we were teachers, and I want teachers to understand, like, this is not something that is going to be forced on you, that you're going to have to incorporate into your curriculum. You're already busy. You already have things that you have to do. You don't have time to incorporate another program into your curriculum. It's not that at all. This will actually save the teachers time because it will be bringing help to them. And so I want to make that clear too, that it's a completely different mindset.
It's a resource.
It's a completely different model. It's a different model of doing education.
Okay.
Yeah.
Empowering.
I'll just leave it at that. It's a whole
we
new
don't want to
model.
delve too into it, but it's everything that we've talked about: the community, the resilience, to help love and encourage and teach how to be proper members in a community, because we aren't taught that, unfortunately, in public schools anymore. We're taught to be the worker bee and not think creatively and think of ourselves before other people and not others first. And you and I have also had great conversations about just the brain chemistry that occurs when you do an act of kindness. The chemistry that is released, that's free. It costs absolutely nothing and gives you joy that lasts for hours. Free. And that's the kind of stuff we're talking about here, is that give back that is so rewarding, and it's creating something that is so much larger than you. But tools and gifts that will broaden and make a world so that we do have people that are not so that you don't have to. I mean, it's wonderful you're helping people, but so that you don't have to hear that saved my life. Or even, Ian, who started this channel, he suffered from mental health and the depression. So many of us are there. And so if we're so sad and we're hurt, how can we go help somebody else? But really, that's the best thing. That's the secret. If you can just,
Yes, it is.
I mean, we say in mine, pour me another drink. That means that if I'm wallowing in self-pity for too long, then that substance, which I am allergic to, is going to enter my body, which is not a really good idea whatsoever. And so the best way for me to not want that substance means go do something for somebody else. And that's where I learned that free drug of giving back. And then you get all this joy that comes. And
absolutely. And this is going to help students see other people as people, not as cogs in a wheel, or not as pawns,
or teacher, or
other people,
someone that
matter. Yes.
Everybody wants to matter. That's the deal. We all want to matter. Yes. Everybody. And we should matter.
And we do. Yeah.
We all want to matter.
Yes. And we can. There's a way to do it. We can.
I know. It's fantastic, Amy. It's wonderful what you're doing, everything that you're doing. And thank you for coming back.
Thank you.
Everyone, if you're interested, we will put a little bit of information up so that you can go to Amy's website. Finding My Hero Within is her book. Again, thank you very much for coming back for part 2. And then say the poem
Thank
for
you.
everyone one more time, would you please?
Yes, the poem that changed my life, after which my business's name is Ye who seek God apart, that which you seek thou art. If you wish to seek the beloved's face, polish the mirror and gaze into that space. And that's by Rumi.
Everybody go and plant the love, because it's a wonderful way to be. And God bless everybody in the tumultuous weather that's going on out there. Praise God, St. Lucia is okay. We did make it through, but our neighbors to the south, we're praying for them, and others in its path, Beryl. But everyone, uh, go and plant the love. And thank you so much for being here, Amy, and everybody have a fantastic day.